Bloodhunt by Janson Davies. Chapter 1. Sterilian 7. Colonel Casey Dahlgren crouched low behind a jagged outcrop of amber shale, the alien wind whispering across his visor like a warning. Sterilian 7 lay before him, an outlaw world, a scarred moon orbiting a dead gas giant, its surface pocked with pirate bunkers and scavenged tech. The enclave hummed with stolen energy. Lights flickered in erratic patterns, like the heartbeat of something diseased. Dahlgren's 12-man unit, Rangers of the 7th Orbital, were arrayed behind him, invisible to the naked eye, cloaked in the latest stealth armor. Each man was a weapon, each weapon an extension of Dahlgren's will. They were not here to negotiate. The mission was surgical: infiltrate, eliminate, extract. A Galactic Council member and his family had been taken during a freighter raid. Father, wife, 3 children. The pirates demanded a ransom that could bankrupt a planet. The Council debated. The Rangers deployed. Chapter 2. Hostage Protocol. The air inside the pirate compound was thick with ionized dust and the stench of alien blood. Dahlgren's boots left no trace on the metal floor, but his presence was seismic. The Rangers moved in formation, 2 fire teams sweeping corridors, 1 securing the perimeter, and Dahlgren's own trio advancing toward the hostage chamber. His helmet AI pulsed with data: biometric scans, structural overlays, threat assessments. The pirates had fortified the chamber with scavenged tech, plasma locks, neural tripwires, and a crude biometric firewall keyed to alien DNA. Vin, Dahlgren said. The tech sergeant was already working. A silent burst of code from his wrist console scrambled the firewall. The plasma locks hissed open. Inside, the hostages huddled in a corner, wide-eyed, trembling, half-starved. The councilman clutched his wife and children like a man trying to hold together a collapsing world. 3 guards turned, weapons raised. Dahlgren didn't hesitate. His disruptor rifle barked once, twice, 3 times. The guards dropped. Smoke curled from their wounds. Silence followed. "Secure the room," Dahlgren ordered. The Rangers moved in, scanning for traps, checking vitals. One of the children, a boy, maybe 10, reached out and touched Dahlgren's armored leg. "Are you angels?" he asked. Dahlgren knelt, his visor retracted, revealing a face carved from years of war and loss. "No," he said, "we're just fathers." The boy nodded, as if that made sense. Outside, the compound was beginning to stir. The blackout wouldn't last forever. "Extraction in 5, Vin said. Dahlgren tapped his comms. "Shuttle, prepare for evac. Package secured." The Rangers formed a protective shell around the hostages and moved. Alien reinforcements were already converging, but they were too slow, too disorganized. The Rangers cut through them like a scalpel through rot. At the rendezvous point, the shuttle's ramp lowered. "Go!" Dahlgren shouted. The hostages were loaded aboard. Dahlgren was the last to board, his rifle still hot. As the shuttle lifted off, he looked back at Sterilian 7. A world of thieves and killers, a world that had learned too late what it meant to steal from a Ranger. Back aboard the hyperdrive ship, Dahlgren stood in the command bay, helmet off, sweat streaking his brow. The hostages were safe. The mission was complete. But something gnawed at him, a tremor in the air, a whisper in the dark. Then the transmission cut out. A new signal blinked. "Classified. Highest clearance." Dahlgren stepped into the secure chamber. Admiral Scotty Reed appeared, his face pale, eyes heavy. "I have terrible news," he said. And the war, once again, became personal. Chapter 3. Interruption. The hum of the hyperdrive ship was a lullaby of victory. Dahlgren stood in the command bay, helmet off, his breath steady but shallow. The hostages were safe, the pirates dead or scattered, and the mission, by every metric, was a success. But the air felt wrong, like the silence before a scream. The debrief was underway, his voice crisp and clinical as he recited tactical details to Central Command. Then the transmission flickered. Cut. Replaced. A new signal blinked on the console. Classified, eyes only, Admiral Scotty Reed. Dahlgren's jaw tightened. He stepped into the secure chamber at the rear of the ship, the door sealing behind him with a hiss. The screen lit up. Scotty Reed's face appeared, older than Dahlgren remembered, eyes sunken, voice brittle. "I have terrible news," he said. Dahlgren didn't blink. "Sarah?" Reed nodded slowly. "She's been taken." The words hit like a disruptor blast to the chest. Dahlgren staggered, not physically, but somewhere deeper, in the place where war couldn't reach, but fatherhood could. "She was at space camp," Reed continued. "Huntsville, U.S. Space and Rocket Center." "I know where she was," Dahlgren growled. Reed hesitated. "It wasn't just her. They took the entire class, all the girls." "By whom?" "Aliens, a planet past the rim, beyond the neutral zone." Dahlgren's fists clenched. "And what's being done?" Reed looked away. "Nothing." "Nothing," Dahlgren roared. The sound echoed through the ship, drawing glances from the forward crew. "It's a diplomatic snarl," Reed said. "I wasn't supposed to tell you. The Council wants silence, negotiation, delay." "Did you tell her mother?" "Number." "You're the only one, Casey." Dahlgren stared at the screen. His voice dropped to a whisper. "You know what I'm going to do." Reed nodded. "You're going to take extended leave, and when you get back from your vacation, you'll call me." "Do I get to take my team?" "Only on a volunteer basis." "And the ship?" Reed smiled faintly. "You obviously can't go on vacation without transportation." The transmission went dark. Dahlgren stepped back into the command bay. His men turned to him, silent, waiting. "She's been taken," he said. "Sarah, and others." No one spoke. "She's your goddaughter," Dahlgren said. "I'm going after her. Volunteers only." Vin stepped forward. "You insult us by asking." One by one, the Rangers nodded. They were not just soldiers, they were family. Chapter 4. Permission Denied. The stars outside the viewport drifted like ancient ghosts, indifferent to the urgency unfolding within the ship. Colonel Dahlgren stood at the center of the command bay, surrounded by men who had followed him through fire, vacuum, and silence. But this was different. This wasn't war, this was blood. He looked each ranger in the eye. No orders, no rank, just truth. "Sarah's been taken," he said, "along with the other girls from space camp, a planet beyond the rim, no jurisdiction, no treaties, no help." Vin stepped forward. "We go." Dahlgren nodded. "This isn't sanctioned, it's personal. I've been granted extended leave. The ship is ours, the mission is ours, but I won't command anyone who doesn't choose this." The silence that followed was sacred. Then, one by one, the Rangers spoke. "For Sarah, for the girls, for the ones who don't get rescued." Dahlgren felt something ancient stir in his chest. Not rage, not duty, something deeper. A vow. In the ship's war room, Dahlgren plotted the course. The target planet was unnamed, uncharted, and hostile. The data was fragmentary, a rogue system beyond the neutral zone, known only through intercepted alien transmissions. "Coordinates locked," Vin said. "We'll be there in 32 hours." Dahlgren stared at the holographic map. The planet glowed red. "Any intel on the species?" "Nothing concrete," Vin replied. "But they're organized. They knew who they were taking." Dahlgren's jaw tightened. "They took children." Later, in his quarters, Dahlgren sat alone. A photo hovered in the air. Sarah, at age 10, grinning in a zero-G simulator, her hair floating like a halo. He remembered her voice, her laugh, the way she called him Dad like it was a secret only they shared. He remembered the last time they spoke. "Space camp's gonna be epic," she'd said. "We're learning about alien diplomacy." He'd smiled. "Just don't get abducted." She'd laughed. "Dad, that's not even statistically likely." Now the statistics were irrelevant. The ship surged into hyperspace, the stars bent, and the hunt began. Chapter 5. Into the Fire. The hyperspace corridor shimmered like a vein of light through the void. Dahlgren stood in the war room, watching the stars stretch and twist. His mind was already on the ground, on the planet that had stolen his daughter. Behind him, the Rangers prepped in silence. Armor plates clicked into place. Disruptor rifles were calibrated. Neural reflex enhancers synced with spinal implants. This wasn't a mission. It was a reckoning. The ship dropped out of hyperspace above a planet that looked like it had never known mercy. Jagged continents clawed at a storm-choked sky. The atmosphere was breathable. Barely. "Touchdown in 5, Vin said. Dahlgren's voice was steel. "We go in fast. No formation. No protocol. We're ghosts. We're knives. We're fathers." The shuttle descended through lightning and ash. Groundfall. The Rangers hit the ground like thunder. Alien patrols were already converging, six-legged sentinels with plasma lances and hive-linked mines. Dahlgren didn't wait. He raised his rifle and fired. The first sentinel exploded in a burst of violet flame, its neural core ruptured. "Engage!" he roared. The Rangers scattered, each man a storm. Vin dropped two hostiles with precision shots to their cranial nodes. Sergeant Kenny activated his grav boots, launching into the air and raining disruptor fire on a cluster of alien infantry. The enemy responded with shrieks and coordinated flanking maneuvers. But the Rangers were faster, smarter, angrier. The push. They advanced through the jungle where the trees bled sap that hissed on contact with armor. Alien snipers fired from the canopy. Dahlgren's visor flared red. He spun, fired, and dropped one mid-cloak. "Keep moving." Explosions lit the sky. The Rangers breached the outer perimeter of the alien compound, a fortress of bone and metal, pulsing with stolen tech. "Charges set," Vin said. "Detonate." The wall blew inward, smoke, screams, chaos. The Rangers surged through the breach. Neural warfare. Inside, the aliens deployed psychic disruptors, devices that scrambled thought and memory. Dahlgren's helmet A, I countered with a neural firewall. Still, the pressure was immense. Time fractured. Reality bent. Dahlgren saw Sarah's face in the smoke. He roared and charged. His disruptor rifle became an extension of his grief. Every shot was a promise. Every kill, a prayer. The final gate. They reached the prison chamber, a dome of translucent alloy guarded by elite alien warriors. 10 feet tall, 4 arms, armor fused to flesh. Dahlgren didn't hesitate. He activated his grav hammer and slammed into the first warrior, shattering its chest plate and spine. Vin lobbed a plasma grenade. Kenny dual-wielded disruptors, spinning through the enemy like a dancer of death. The last warrior fell. The dome opened. Inside, the girls huddled. Sarah looked up. "Dad?" Dahlgren lowered his rifle and ran to her. "I'm here," he said. "You're safe." The Rangers secured the chamber. Outside, alien reinforcements gathered, but they were too late. The shuttle lifted off, carrying the girls and the men who had bled for them. Chapter 6. The Escape. The shuttle tore through the upper atmosphere, its hull scorched and trembling. Plasma flak burst around them like dying stars. Inside, the rescued girls sat in silence, wrapped in thermal blankets, eyes wide with shock. Sarah clung to her father's arm, her fingers trembling but firm. "You came," she whispered. "I always will," Casey said, his voice low, steady. The chase. "Multiple bogies inbound," Vin called from the cockpit. 6 interceptors, fast, armed. Casey moved forward, helmet on, voice sharp. "Evasive pattern Delta. Prep countermeasures." The alien fighters were sleek and predatory. Organic hulls, plasma cannons, hive-linked targeting. The shuttle banked hard, diving through a canyon of storm clouds. Lightning danced across the hull. One interceptor locked on. "Missile incoming!" Vin launched a flare burst. The missile veered, detonating in a flash of blue fire. Mid-air combat. "Too many," Kenny said. "We need to thin the pack." Casey nodded. "Open the rear hatch." Kenny stared. "You're going out." "I'm not losing her again." The hatch opened. Wind roared. Casey stepped into the void, grav boots activated, disruptor rifle slung across his chest. He launched into the air, a lone figure against the storm. He landed on the nearest interceptor, boots magnetizing to its hull. The alien pilot shrieked inside its cockpit. Casey planted a charge and leapt. The fighter exploded behind him. He landed on the next, shot through the canopy. Another down. The final push. Back in the shuttle, Vin maneuvered through a debris field. 2 left, he said. "They're flanking." Casey re-entered through the hatch, armor scorched, eyes blazing. "Give me the railgun." Kenny handed it over. Casey took aim. 1 shot, 1 kill. The last interceptor turned to flee. Casey let it go, into the stars. The shuttle broke through the final cloud layer. Stars opened above them like a promise. The hyperdrive engaged. They were gone. Aftermath. In the medbay, Sarah sat beside her father. "I thought I was going to die," she said. "You didn't," Casey replied. "Because you're mine." She smiled faintly. "You're kind of scary when you're mad." He chuckled. "You should see me when I'm calm." Chapter 7. Return. The stars thinned as Earth came into view, blue, fragile, impossibly distant from the chaos they'd left behind. The shuttle coasted into orbit, its hull still bearing the scars of battle. Inside, the girls slept, exhaustion finally overtaking adrenaline. Sarah sat beside her father, her head resting on his shoulder. "Do we tell Mom?" she asked. Casey stared out the viewport. "She'd never understand," he said. "She'd think it was a dream or a breakdown." Sarah nodded. "She'd probably call the news." "She'd definitely call the news." They sat in silence. Then Sarah smiled. "We could say it was a simulation. Extra credit." Casey raised an eyebrow. "You think she'd buy that?" "I think she'd want to." Ground sighed. At the U.S. Space and Rocket Center, the parking lot shimmered in the afternoon heat. Sarah's mother stepped out of her car, sunglasses perched on her head, purse slung over one shoulder. She scanned the crowd of returning campers, her expression a mix of worry and impatience. Then she saw Sarah. "Sweetheart." Sarah ran to her, hugged her tight. Her mother pulled back. "How was camp?" Sarah glanced at Casey, who stood a few feet away, arms crossed, face unreadable. She smiled. "Great," she said. "We even earned extra credit." Epilogue. Later, Casey sat alone in his quarters aboard the orbital station. The Council had buried the mission. The aliens had gone silent. The Rangers were back in rotation. But something had shifted. Not in the galaxy. In him. He opened a secure file. Inside, a photo of Sarah, post-rescue, smiling with her friends. He added a caption. Blood was spilled, but family was saved. He closed the file. and waited for the next mission signal. The end. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Also, please hit the bell icon for notifications. Thank you.